Hello and welcome to Borough Briggs Beat, the official podcast of Elgin City Football Club. I'm your host, Chris Saunderson, and my guests tonight are Kenny Stewart, a director at the club and a fan, and Mikey Allan, a black and white fanatic, a social media creator for Elgin City, and the recently appointed supporter liaison officer at Borough Briggs. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
How you doing tonight?
Very well, thanks.
Fine, good stuff. Not too bad. The weather's improved, so game should be fine Saturday.
I think we'll be good for tomorrow.
Yeah, aye. Just to say, we're recording this before the Kelty Hearts Cup match, so just in case you're wondering. Excellent. Right, Kenny, I'm going to start with you. You're a director of the club.
Mm-hmm.
You're also a fan. And when did your support of Elgin City start? When does your association go back?
I moved into the area about 17 years ago.
Right.
From Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working in Edinburgh. I've been working all over, but latterly in Edinburgh. And we moved up to the Murray area, and I wanted to adopt a local team.
Mm-hmm.
So the obvious choice was Forest Mechanics. I mean, Elgin City. So I've been going along to the game since then, and it's been a difficult watch at times over the years, but it's been fun too, and I love the setup there. I've always been impressed with. It's very welcoming, and people are really friendly. And I think Elgin, as a place, is kind of tolerant of incomers because of the RAF and stuff. We're used to people coming into the area. So, yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed it.
Excellent. So is it Edinburgh? Is that where you're from originally?
I'm from Perth originally.
Okay.
And then worked in Perth, Edinburgh, and all over.
Right.
But yeah, we were in Edinburgh for a good few years, which was a good place to be as well.
To be a St Johnstone fan or a Hibby or a Hearts or?
My family's northeast, so I was brought up an Aberdeen fan.
Right.
My earliest memory was going to see my granddad, and he was sitting in front of the fire with a glass of OVD rum and swearing at the radio and shouting about the Dons. And I think I must have been 5 or something. This idea of what's the Dons, it fascinated me. So I just I wanted to support who he supported. And I've been lucky that I've been able to see them win stuff over the years. And it looks like they're doing as good.
I was going to say they could win stuff again. I mean,
they're almost as good as Elgin at the moment, aren't they?
Well, that's
not quite.
They're not top of their league, but I mean, they're going well, and they're giving Celtic a challenge.
It's good for Scottish football, I think. Any club outside the Old Firm having a go. I mean, there's no way, I don't think Aberdeen or anyone else can win the league at the moment. I think Celtic's B team could probably win that league. But to have another team up there, maybe splitting the Old Firm, if it was Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United, it would be great. If it's Aberdeen, even better.
Yeah. It just breaks it up. So you've been in Murray 17 years. Do you feel Murray's home now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did about 5-6 years ago consider where's forever home, and we looked at back in Edinburgh and Fife and other areas, but we just every time we come back over the bridge and head north, we feel like this is where we belong. So we've no intention of leaving. I'm sorry to say, we're staying here forever.
Oh no,
sorry, Michael.
You're stuck well. No, that's great stuff. Nice introduction. We'll touch later on about your role as a director and how that came about. But we'll turn to you now, Michael. Or can I call you Mikey? I know you as Mikey, but
Michael.
Okay, I'll go with Mike. I'll go with Mikey. I think earlier I called you a fan, but that doesn't really do you justice because I mean, we'll come on to it later. I mean, you travel the country watching not just Elgin but just football per se.
Guilty
but
of that, I'm afraid.
When did your passion for Elgin first spark?
I was kind of late into football in general, actually. There were 11, 12 before I even started taking an interest in football, going to football. Kind of early high school years, you'd head out to odd Elgin game, but not really kind of reliable. But it was maybe 14, 15 years ago, they started going more often. Been a season to go hold the last 12 years now.
Right.
And been going to away games the last 9 or 10 years.
So what was it that got you hooked about Elgin City in particular then, do you think?
I kind of bit of a nomad for a while. I'd float different clubs, and I don't know. It's Elgin kind of almost calling me back. Kind of something I felt there more than I felt with any other club, any other ground, and I kind of kept going, and now I'm stuck.
Because you live in Aberlour, don't you? Are you from Aberlour?
From Aberlour, yeah.
Right. So you could have gone to Villa Park every week and watched the mighty Aberlour.
I still can't do it. They play on a Sunday. But no, there was no real kind of connection anywhere. We just, Elgin kind of kept almost calling my back. And that's where it...
And you just felt yourself getting sucked in week by week, season by season?
Season by season, slowly. And it just, I don't know, it kind of almost felt a bit like home there. You could felt a connection, you could felt kind of good atmosphere around the place, even in the darker days.
Yeah.
And that's just where I wanted to be, so that's where I'm...
Cool. And you're a firm Elgin City addict.
Yes, I'm guilty
Pure
of that.
and simple. Well, no, there's nothing to be... A guilty pleasure.
Very much.
A guilty pleasure. Good stuff. Excellent. This is for both years, and we'll come on to this season's squad and players within that later on, but your all-time favourite Elgin City player in the time you've been watching, who would you say is the one that's ticked all the boxes for you?
Yeah, I think for me, the current team and the current squad is so good that I'm going to have to pick somebody who's currently there, and I can't really see past Jack Murray.
Right.
I think
he's made such a big impression on you in his
really
few months.
Yeah, at the back and up front, he's all over the park. He's a great example to young players as well. So I enjoy watching him. And I think, there's been a lot of really good players at Elgin City over the years.
Some crackers, like Craig Gunn or, boys like that.
There have been. And some really good players in maybe not so good sides, and they've really propped up the side. But for me, it's Jack.
Right. Well, I mean, that says a lot because, he's only been there in a short period of time, but what an impression he's made already.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Bucky Thistle fans would have said to you, well, that was always going to happen because he's been outstanding when he was at Bucky.
I think many people in the Highland League last season saw that he's going to go on to bigger and better things, and I hope he stays with us for a while because he's doing a lot for the club and as I say, helping out the players around him. It's great to see.
Yeah. No, that's good. Mikey, for you, who have you enjoyed watching the most over the last decade and a bit?
I'm not going to go for one of the current players because I'll get slaughtered for not picking somebody else. I'll be all over it now. You've got a lot of hungry people tomorrow.
I know. I'm going to get pelters for this.
I kind of like a bit of a warrior, someone who gives it all. And the first one coming to mind is David Niven.
Oh, right, okay.
He came as a striker from Ross County. Not sure why, because I think he was never a striker. He kind of played right back for Elgin, holding mid. Yeah, you wouldn't like to be in the end of a Niven tackle.
No, he was a hard player, but a really good player.
They were really solid. And if you're going for goals, I think Gunny and Shane, especially Gunny over the period, perhaps not on as good squads. Shane maybe had slightly better players around him, but Gunny was, if you got 1-on-1, you knew it was going in.
Aye.
And the teams weren't perhaps up to the standard that they are now, but Gunny would, if you went 3-1-on-1, you were.
Can you imagine him in today's team?
Oh, it'd be electric.
Craig Gunn, aye.
That would be fantastic.
with the chances you create, he would bang them in.
Be amazing.
Oh, bang them in. You were hitting 30 a season.
Yeah.
Easily.
No, good stuff. Excellent. Great. Kenny, I mentioned earlier, obviously you're a director, which means you have to wear a nice tie and shirt and a blazer on match day. But how did that come about then? So you started off as a fan, you were going to games regular, you're in business, you're a businessman.
Yeah.
So how did the approach come to become a director?
I think the board last season, or this time last year, were looking to freshen up the board, so we're on the lookout for new directors to join them. So I was approached at the time and went along, had a few good chats with the club, and it wasn't really on my radar to become a director of a football team, if I'm honest. But I think they were looking at people with some business background and experience that could maybe help the club and take it on the next stage, if you like. As a football fan, avid Scotland fan, I love football. I watch, the match of the day and everything that everybody else watches. To get the chance to see behind the scenes in a club and help a club out and help a local club out, I thought this is too good to be true, so we'll give it a go. And it's been great. It's been really interesting seeing what happens behind the scenes in a club. I really enjoy on match day, as you say, you wear the club tie and the shirt and the jacket and everything, but when you meet the other directors from other clubs like East Fife and Stirling Albion and Forfar and Stranraer and all that, we all have the same challenges, really, and it's really interesting to have the conversations with the other directors and share how things are going and maybe share some ideas, and that's been really good and interesting. And for instance, when the East Fife boys come up, for example, they're just fully passionate about football, about League Two, about East Fife, and I love that. Seeing all these people that really care a lot about this level of football in Scottish professional leagues, I think is really good to see. And there's a lot of good people, and it's not just the directors, by the way. What I've really got to understand is a club like Elgin only functions because of the volunteers around it. The directors are volunteers, the chairman's a volunteer, but there's a whole bunch of people that makes that club work on a weekly basis that are the unsung heroes, really.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant to see, and they're so passionate about it. And that's infectious. We all kind of feed off it. So it's been really...
You've got one sitting next to you who falls in that bracket.
Michael, it's hard to say this when he's looking at me in the eye, but he's a brilliant advocate for the football club, and he's well known to not just everybody associated with the club, but people generally in Elgin and in and around Borough Briggs. And it's people like that make the difference, honestly. And I would say I've not been a director for a year yet, and there's, the chairman's less than a year. Stephen Hopes is less than a year as well. And the difference in this time last year to now, and it's not anything that we've done necessarily individually, but collectively, we're trying to move the club forward very, very positively. A lot of work gets done. People don't see, evenings, weekends. There's documents, emails. There's a lot of work goes on in the background.
Has it opened your eyes to the challenges of running a football club at this level?
Yeah, as a fan, I've had the moment where you go, the board don't know what they're doing and what's going on and all that. But and then you realise you've got no idea the amount of work that goes on just to keep the club alive. And then you've got to keep it alive and move it forward. Yeah. It's a mountain of work, but it's enjoyable, it's interesting, and everyone on the board is very enthusiastic. I know you've interviewed some of them already, Chris, and we're all in it together. It feels like we've created a community within Elgin as a football club, and all we're trying to do is we're here for a short period of time. Elgin City's been here for many, many years, and it'll be here for many, many years to come. But we want to leave the club, when we do leave it eventually, in a better place than we found it. And that's our whole focus, is to just do everything we can to improve. And that's not just on the pitch, but crucially off the pitch, the fabric of Borough Briggs, everything. We've got plans in place to improve every aspect of Elgin City.
Yeah. Has it changed the way you watch the game as a fan? Do you feel more pressure watching the football now, or is it a different?
I kind of have more empathy for them. If I watch even Match of the Day and you see a team lose a late goal, I know what that's like. We all know what that's like as a fan, but it hurts even more if you're associated with the club. It's hard to explain that, because you think, well, the fans feel it the most. They actually don't. Any feelings you have of sorrow or hurt in a bad game of football as a fan is much more if you're involved with the club itself. So yeah, I am looking at the game differently, and it's really interesting sitting amongst the other directors during the game, and as I said, talking to the other directors from the other club at half time, analysing the first half. What did you think? Yeah, maybe we're a bit lucky, or maybe they were a bit lucky, but we're all in it together, and it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. I was noticing, I think it was through the week, it was actually Hibs, the Hibs fans, they had a sack the board sign in the stands. So, I mean, touch wood, you haven't had that yet, Elgin.
Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. That's
the one thing that, as soon as things are not going right at a club, it seems to be, first of all, sack the board or sack the manager. But I mean, all joking aside, I mean, it's a challenging job, so you feel for anybody who's coming under that kind of pressure from football fans, don't you?
Well, we've all watched football for many years, and we know that at the moment in time of recording this, Elgin are top of the league. They've had the best start they've ever had to a season this season. Things are good. We don't have our problems to seek. We've got injury worries in the squad. And we'll go through a period of time, I'm sure, where it's tough because it's football. And look at Man City. Who saw Man City losing, was it 4 or 5
games in spin?
Nobody sees that. And when you look at their squad, that shouldn't be happening.
No.
It happens to the best of the clubs. So Elgin City will go through a dip. We're not planning to go through a dip. We want to keep this rocket ship moving all the way to the Mars, really. But it will dip. And that's where we've got to be strong, resilient, and stick to the message. We've got a plan. The plan isn't for the rest of the season. We've got a 5-year vision and a plan. So we're not going to be top of the league for 5 years. We're going to have to deal with what happens when we're going to be losing streak. I'm sorry, Michael's shaking his head.
Unbelievable.
From a fan's point of view, though, I mean, Kenny's talking about the expectations. The expectations are, from what I see, have gone through the roof, in a short space of time. But are the fans realistic enough as well to temper it? And I mean, there's only been one defeat in the league this season, but I mean,
I've got my sock the board signing the car.
Have you?
just waiting.
You class Kenny as a friend, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
No, I wouldn't go that far.
acquaintance. No, I think it's in the last year. You couldn't have dreamt we were a year ago. I think if you said to any Elgin fan in a year's time you're going to be top of the league, you'd have probably been laughed at Borough Briggs. I think, but you won't get a more loyal support in Elgin. Elgin will not turn. Elgin fans don't turn quickly. They will just not do it. But I think even then, if you'd say, in a year's time you're going to be top of the league, you'd have thought, okay. Right, that's
But if you look at, that's a good point, Michael. When you look at a year ago to now, what's changed? I mean, it's not just the football manager and coaching staff. It's on the field. There's a lot of players that are new to the club. Off the pitch, there's a lot of change. Now, that's risky. There's too much change can be high risk. But I think November last year, people were talking about Elgin City being the favourites to go down last season.
And at one stage it looked almost a stick on it. They were going to finish bottom.
Horrible results, against Genefield Swifts and other things we don't want to talk about. It happened. But the sign of a strong club and a good fan base is, right, stick with us. Let's figure this out and let's find a way to move it forward rather than feel sorry for ourselves and look at our feet. So, Michael's quite right that a year ago you'd never have dreamt. Even if you said a year ago you'll be in the top half of the table, you would have been thought, what are you smoking, But actually, the fact that we're top of the league is insane. When you look at the quality of football teams in that league, it's incredible. Peterhead, our fantastic team, kills me to say it because we'd really love to beat Peterhead. But they are a good football team. Spartans are a good football team. The thing about League 2 I find is, you look at the league table, it doesn't really mean very much because any team can beat any team in any given week. And we saw that last season. We're seeing that this season as well. So you look at the fixture list and you might think, we should win that one. I don't think anyone should think that in this league.
Yeah, it is a really strong league. I mean, having seen them all, and Mikey, you'll have seen all the teams as well. There is no real weak team. I know someone's got to be bottom at the moment. Unfortunately, it's Forfar, who've just appointed, obviously, Jim Weir and Gavin Price as the management duo again.
And they played quite well the last time we played them. So there's not an easy game. There's not one fixture you go, right, it's good, we'll win this week. Is it, Michael?
No. Normally in the season, it's kind of, you're looking, that's an easier game. You don't get an easy game in League 2. I don't think League 2 gets the credit it deserves, actually, at times, how tough it is. And I think because Elgin's the only local team in it, I think if a Highland League team came up and seen how hard it was, Elgin might get more credit. But because there's no one to almost compare it to, it's Elgin still not got promoted. Yeah, but you don't realise how tough it is in that league to get promoted. There's just not a bad team.
But Elgin's never been relegated either.
No.
So,
It's consistent.
No.
It's, an ambition is not to get out of the Highland League and stay in League 2 for 24 years. That's not an ambition.
No.
But it's a fact.
Yeah.
And the fact is, we've had seasons where we've flirted with the trap door and we've managed to avoid going down. That's really strong because that's showing resilience and getting through it and doing what you have to do. But we're now looking forwards and how can we compete at the top end of the table on a regular basis? We don't want this to be a one-off, half a season wonder. We want this to be a regular occurrence that we're at the top end, not top all the time, but at the top end of the table, competing for these playoff places, having a chance and having a go. That would be real progress for this club. And with the players we've got, the management team we've got in place, looking after the players, I see no reason why not. You know, it's we're as good as anyone else in the league. We've proved that in the first round of fixtures, and let's see how it goes. We're really
I suppose
excited
it's just
about it.
managing expectations, isn't it? And the level of excitement. Because, I mean, fans and people will naturally... It's easy to get carried away, isn't it? And get too exuberant. But
I don't
it's
know.
how you manage it. And I suppose it's the message you put out. I mean, at the moment, they're top. But you could also say that Elgin's 17 points clear of relegation threat.
Well, your glass is either half full or half empty, Chris. But it's Elgin, right? We don't get too carried away, right? We're in Elgin, right? Our feet are firmly on the ground. But what I would say any Elgin fans that would even listen to this or listen to any of us is absolutely embrace and enjoy the fact that we're top of the league. If you can't enjoy that, I don't know what you can enjoy.
Yeah,
we know
absolutely.
It won't last forever. We're top of the league. We're doing really well. Even when we're not playing great, we're managing to grind out a point or something, or we're generally playing really good football. So we should absolutely embrace that, because we don't want to be at the point where we should have enjoyed that more. Because remember that time we were flying high, you know, when we have the dip, because the dip has to come. It's football, and we're prepared for that, and we'll manage through that. But yeah, I would say to everyone, and absolutely enjoy it.
No, absolutely, you should savour it. And from your point of view, Mikey, and what's the feeling on terraces? I mean, about where the club's at the
it's
moment?
almost a joy to be back in the terrace again. I think for a while it was almost a case of it's a Saturday, let's go. I think a year ago, if you even look back to last October, we played 2 games, 6-0 to Peterhead, 6-0 to Dreamfield Swifts. I was at the Dreamfield Swifts game. The only positive, it was only 6.
Right.
Because it was going 6, 7, 8, 9. There was only one way that game was ever going. But then you look, if you go back to the fan base, the following home game, there was still 600 at the game. So the fan base will always stay there.
There is a good core support there, isn't
Very
there?
good.
Almost needing this, it was just needing a spark. It was needing something just to kind of almost waken up again. And I think that goes back to the Alan Hale and Stefan Laird appointment. But even that was a brave appointment by the board, really. Because it would, the easy option would have been, we'll get an SPFL manager with experience. But the board thought, no. And I think that's what woken the fans up again. They thought, wait a minute, this is maybe a different approach now. We've not gone for the, dare I say, safe appointment. Because if you look back when Alan and Steph got appointed, there's a lot of fans online, not Elgin fans, going, poor appointment, what have they done? Highland League manager for Highland League club. But obviously the board had seen something in him. Anyone who watched Huntly, I've seen a few Huntly games before they came up, and you could see that they play football. They're not one of those to kind of hit the ball and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Everything was very structured, very organised, and you thought, this might work. And you knew within the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, you couldn't dream it was going this far, but you knew things were changing.
I think what you've heard there, Chris, is Michael Allan saying the board did something good. Now that needs to be recorded. You know,
We'll have this on tape.
that's
The board minus Kenny made a great appointment there.
there it
Were you
is.
involved in that decision, Kenny?
Oh, 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Kenny tells me that every day.
Everything that we do as a football club, we collectively make these types of decisions, and the board get together once a month. That's quite interesting. That's another thing people maybe don't understand. So we have a board meeting once a month, and it's generally midweek. It starts at 6. It usually finishes before midnight. But
Yeah, I've heard they can be quite long.
oh my goodness! I mean, we cover a lot of ground, and we're talking regularly between each meeting. That's how much work needs to happen.
Yeah.
And continually happen. And talking to other football clubs, it's exactly the same. But we do take it very seriously, because we think, right, well, here's us together for once a month. We'll have to cover every aspect. We've got a very structured agenda, and we cover all aspects of football, including the ladies' team, the men's team, the youth and academy, the community, and everything gets discussed and covered to a lot of detail, so that we feel that we're in control, so we can go off and, right, I'll do this, you do that, and we all allocate whatever we have to do. But yeah, all of these kind of decisions, even, you know, getting Michael involved in the support liaison
Aye, we're just going to come on to that in a sec.
But the reason we looked at that is because his passion for the club, he knows most of the fans, and he's home and away to every match, and that is valuable for us, because we need to know as well, like the question you're asking there, Chris, what do the fans feel? What do they think? We need to know that. And so that we can be aware of it and try to act on as much of that as we possibly can. And Michael's now our conduit into the fans at Elgin, and to understand what's on their mind. And of course, from fans you get emotion and crazy stuff, but actually there's a lot of good stuff comes out of that, and a lot of good conversation comes out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on it there, so we'll just go into that. Mikey, obviously you've been doing the club's social media content on Twitter, or X as it is now called, and Insta and Facebook for quite a number of years now. But just recently you've been appointed as the club's supporter liaison officer. So how first of all, I mean, how did you feel accepting that role, and what do you see that role, what direction do you see it going?
It was kind of bought out of the blue. I won't name names, but Kenny just got a phone call one night. I thought, oh no, here we go. What do you need this time? And it just goes all board of discussion that we're looking for a new SLO, and would you mind taking it on? And there's a case of people know I won't say no. If Elgin asks me something, I'll go and do it. It doesn't really matter.
Can you lend me a £5?
We'll call it £4. But I don't say no, because that's my club. When they came to me a year ago to ask to help with social media, it's a yes. I never done graphics or anything before. I didn't have a clue what I was doing the first couple of weeks. But you just learn. You just go, right, okay, it's from my club, I'll get it done. So the SLO was a bit of a hung up the phone. That's fine. I thought, oh, okay, that's quite a big role.
All right. Sugar, what have I done?
What have I done this time? What's Kenny talking me into this time? Because it's a lot of responsibility. The board could have picked anybody. The board didn't need to come to me. So once I thought, okay, right. But
so how's the board, or how's the club interact with Mikey in that role? How will that work going forward?
Well, if you got our phones, you'd see the WhatsApps between us, but we rely on Michael. It's quite a new appointment, by the way, but we will rely on Michael to feedback candidly, which he will. Anything he's hearing or seeing, it could be like an away game, there's a problem getting through certain turnstiles, or there's some hassle at some grounds, or it could be at Borough Briggs, there's something not quite right in the terracing that he's worried about. He can
just feed it back. Yeah.
Or if he hears something. And the fact that we've appointed him, he's officially on the website, he's a proper role. In fact, it's part of the SPFL licence that you need to have this role as well. So it's not just a made up thing, it's really official. Means that anyone who wants to talk to someone about what's going on at Elgin, or from a fan's point of view, can reach out to Michael and talk to him man to man, woman to man, whatever, and just have a conversation so Michael can bring it back to us and say, look, here's what I'm hearing. And we totally trust him. The stuff he's done, and you're doing as well, Chris, we'll come on to that in a minute, stuff that Michael's done on social media in the past. How long have you been doing that, Michael?
Just a year.
A year. Has been fantastic. And we trust him with information that he has before it goes out into the public domain. And so you can't do that with just anyone, we're saying, look, we're going to make a sign-in, it has to go out at this time, but here's the heads up, so he can draft something up and get that out. So there's that inherent trust in working together that we've had for a year. So it was kind of an obvious place to go for this role. And before I forget, Chris, I want to just call you out, because I think I'm getting some very positive feedback on the content that you're putting out there. You're elevating the club and the sort of brand of the club, if you like, out there. And I think we need to do that. We need to be thinking about how can we do things differently? What else can we be doing? The video interviews that you do and the video clips on match day are fantastic, and they're very well watched. And I think for a lot of people who can't get to the games, we've got fans who are from Elgin but are living abroad. And they depend on all that stuff, There was a guy I met at the Forfar game away at the start of the season who was over from Canada, and he still keeps in touch. And when we have a good result, which has been a lot recently, he'll ping me an email and very excited about how we're doing, and he tunes in everything he can about Elgin City. So it really, what Michael here does and what you do, Chris, has been brilliant for elevating the club. So
no, that's great.
on
Thank you for
behalf of
saying
the
that.
board,
I mean,
thank you both for
I'm
that.
like Mikey as well. I mean, even though I was a local newspaper journalist for years, I'm actually learning as I go along with a lot of the video stuff. I didn't do a lot of video.
You wouldn't know that, honestly.
You know?
It's both the content from Michael and yourself is top drawer. It's brilliant.
Well, I mean, things if you've got a good product on the pitch, you've got to sell it as well. So I mean,
and we've got to totally echo that at the time it's good. So whenever we've got good news, we're top of the league and the things are happening, things are going well, we've got to really shout about it. And then when we're going through our tough times, we talk about, right, okay, don't panic, we'll get through this, and we're in it together, and we'll have a different message.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good that we're doing all this stuff at the moment. It's really working out well.
Mikey, so you didn't have to attend those 6-hour board meetings, so do you?
No, thankfully not. No,
neither do I. So that's
a good idea, lads. Would you like to come along? Because you get a cup of, no, you don't even get a cup of tea. You get a drink of water and maybe a packet of crisps.
Oh.
Am I selling it to you?
Not really. But
I'm busy that night.
Oh well, I tried.
And what's the I mean, in the short time you've been doing it, what are fans saying to you? I mean, what's the general message at the moment? Obviously, it'll be upbeat at the moment because things are going great, but there's always things you can improve on even when things are going well.
Well, I've only kind of done one game due to the frost cancellation last week, but down at Bonnie, it was just to kind of, well, congratulations on the job, and there's a few kind of bits and bobs, okay, but really at the minute I'm kind of looking, it just help people. So fully aware, like when you go to away games, how do you get tickets? Like if we're going to East Fife next weekend, you must buy tickets in advance. So I'm going to have to make sure everyone's aware, because Supporters Bus is going, which is great news as well, that fans, you'll need to buy tickets in advance for that game. I'll put the links online. If they're driving, I'll tell them where they're parking. Basically just helping fans make the experience as easy as it can be and as enjoyable as it can be. At home games, as Kenny said, everyone knows my face, so that they can come up and speak to me. Have any issues, either online. My website's on the name, name's on the website, so they come to me, look, message me, look, I have a problem here, we prefer if you did this, and I can put it through to the board and up to the board to say, maybe we could look at that, or perhaps not. Hoping early next year to get like a fan side meeting.
Just like a fans forum?
Can I get the fans into Borough Briggs? Hopefully get a director or Pro Kenny along.
Right, okay, that'll be a good idea.
Or a good director, but we'll take Kenny.
Because you're doing a sort of mini version of that for even the Celtic game. There's a deal where you can go along, have a pie and a pint, and there's going to be a wee Q&A with a couple of players before the game, hopefully, and just get that interaction going. And obviously with Alan's Army sponsoring Liaison, there's a hope to organise a kind of get together of all the supporters who are literally buying into support of a player.
And that's a couple of good examples, Chris, of why we're trying to do things a wee bit differently and progress forward positively with the club. So the cup tie special against Celtic, we've put in a special package for people to come along and enjoy the game and have a drink, and we've got a fantastic facility upstairs at Borough Briggs, and we can use it more. So we're trying to figure out ways of getting more people into that and enjoying the facility, watching the game in comfort, but having a good time, getting more interaction with the club, whether that's officials at the club, directors, guys like Michael, the players. It's difficult to get the players and the manager involved in these Q&As on match day, because as you can imagine, their 100% focus has to be on preparation for the game. So we've talked them into it for Kelty, but this is something we want to do more of. But I really like Michael's idea of a fans forum and maybe once or twice a year getting them together, because we can use upstairs, we can get fans in, and we can just have a very open discussion. We'll have enough people who are officially at the club to attend that and field the questions. And I think the more of that we can do, and any other ideas, and if Michael brings something, or anyone comes to the board with an idea, and we debate it at the board meeting, and we're not going to run with it, we'll explain why not. It could be financially, it could be logistically, it's not going to work, or we're not prioritising that just now. But we'll not just say no. We'll explain very openly. We're trying to be as open and transparent as we possibly can be with everything we're doing. No secrets. We're only trying to improve what we've got here.
Exactly.
And we're open to anyone coming forward. We've also just appointed Nicky and Dom.
Great appointment, Dom as well, yeah.
Dom, and it's breathing brand new life into the club, the fabric of the club, off the park as well. And it's early days. Nicky and Dom have been doing the role for 2 weeks, and well, they're still here and they seem to be enjoying it. I was in this morning and I said, "Oh, Dominic, you're still here, magic. It must be going well." He's loving it. He's having a great time and he's getting his teeth right into it. And I'm very confident Nicky's going to be transformational for us, really behind the scenes. So we're really excited and very happy that we've got Nicky, Dom and Michael here in the last 2 or 3 weeks joining the club, starting to make a difference. And you watch this space, it's going to only improve.
And it's all fresh pair of eyes, looking at situations and coming up with different ideas. And
absolutely, yeah.
Great stuff. Excellent. Right, we're going to talk a wee bit about the product on the park this season. I mean, both teams are top of the league at the moment. The women's team are top and the men's team. We're not going to mention the P word. I think Michael said we're not talking about the P word.
Not PR. We're not mentioning the PR word.
No.
Are we not?
No.
Okay.
No P word, so we're not getting carried away. But as you said earlier, you've got to celebrate the fact the club is top after 13 games. What's been the main difference this season? Why has it clicked so much?
For me, and Michael will have a better answer than I do because he's been following Elgin for longer, but I'm going into games quite positive. I'm not going into games scared that we're going to get beat, which has been in previous years. It's like, if we can get a draw out of this, we'll do well. It's not like that anymore. Doesn't matter who's coming. It's Kelly Hearts tomorrow in the Cup. They're a league above us. That's a winnable game. And we should be thinking that way. We shouldn't be afraid to say that. I'm not saying we're going to win it. It's a winnable game. The way that we're playing as a complete team, and when we're struggling, when it's maybe not going as well as it should be, Alan Hale's very quick to make the changes and bring on some fresh players, and the depth of the squad is as good as it's been in terms of quality. Now, we are struggling with injuries.
I was going to say it's been stretched at the moment because you've got about 8 guys out injured, and none of them's going to be back anytime soon, really.
But it's a challenge. But that's the current challenge on the field, right? So there'll always be challenges with Elgin City. Running a football club like this is very challenging, and that's the current biggest challenge. And we're giving as much care as we can to these players, trying to get them back to full fitness as quickly as we can without rushing them. If that had been a year or two ago with that amount of injuries, I don't know how we'd cope. Honestly, it would be pretty difficult. Because we've got some great backup players as well, we're able to find a way to get through these games and do really well. So I think overall, you go into these games with confidence. I would say, interestingly, the very first game of the season was against East Fife at Borough Briggs, and the board, if I'm being honest, we were all nervous because we felt really quite positive and confident about that game. But because of everything that had been built in over the summer, the way the club was looking, the way that the squad were playing, the pre-season friendlies all went really well. You think we could win this. And then Alan Murray and myself were in the tunnel just before kick-off, and we're just chatting and looking at the team warming up, and Dick Campbell came over and said, "Boys, just so you know, I'm here to win this league. You need to know that." And I almost exactly what he said, because he spoke.
I can imagine.
Mr. Campbell. "I'm going to win this league, right? Oh, aye, all right, Dick, nice to see you." And away he went, being typical Dick. But that kind of confidence, and then it really affects you, because you think, "Oh, it's East Fife. East Fife are good. We maybe won't." You have that moment of we maybe won't win it. We're 3-0 up, and then East Fife scored, and East Fife scored again, and oh, surely not. And then we won it 4-2. But that feeling of confidence is incredible, and to beat a team like that with a manager like that who's full of confidence, set us up for a great start to the season, I think.
Yeah, and from a fan's point of view, Michael, I mean, the quality of the product on the park this season is just above and beyond anything you've seen in recent years.
I think the summer transfer window, you almost couldn't believe as an Elgin fan. It was almost like every other week it was another signing. And normally a signing at Elgin, you've heard of them, but that's it. But the thing is, you knew these lads. These are lads you'd have actually picked, or I'd like to say, Jack Murray was the turning point. I think that's when the fans thought, okay, we're actually being serious here. Because everyone's seen Jack Murray at Bucky for the last 4 or 5 years, and he was a standout. Most Elgin fans thought, well, we can't get him. He'll either stay at Bucky or he'll go high. They wouldn't think of coming to Elgin. And all of a sudden it was okay, if we can attract Jack Murray, we can start to go somewhere. You had Jack Murray, you had Mark Gallagher, you had Liaison coming back, you had Dylan coming over. All of a sudden, we can attract decent players here. We're signing players that you want to sign. And I think the League Cup, you're never going to do well in the League Cup as a League 2 club. It's just not the format at the minute.
Unless you're Spartans.
Unless you're Spartans.
Well, they did very well.
They did brilliant. I mean, to be fair. But they've struggled since then.
They've struggled since, though. The same, the year that Arna did very well in the Cup, the league season just didn't get going. I think the East 5 game was you felt confident before it, but as Kenny said, it's East 5. You think, oh, well, it's East 5. League favourites are going to be good. And 3-0 up, you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, we really are here.
We were 3-0 up and flying, weren't we?
Flying.
Yeah.
The thing is, when it goes 3-1, 3-2, you're thinking, I've seen the script before and I know where it goes, and it's not nice. But that was a turning point. Then went 4-2. If you'd asked anyone at Borough Briggs that day, you're thinking 3-2, you know where it's going next. You're thinking it's going to be 3-3, 4th East 5. We'll give it a go. It's typically Elgin. But all of a sudden it was no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just 4-2. Went down to Stirling the following week. I also thought Stirling's probably one of the best teams we played this season. Stirling really impressed me this season down there. Haven't played them yet up at Borough Briggs, but down there they were really attacking. And got the win through Gallagher, and all of a sudden it was wait a minute, we've got something here. And the thing is, once you get going, you just keep going. He's getting that wave of emotion. Fans will keep going. All of a sudden, you're still cautious going into games like tomorrow, Kelly. It's tough, but you're thinking, but we've beaten East Fife away. We've beaten Stirling away. We've beaten Spartans away here. We've now got more away points this season already than we did the whole of last season. As Kenny says, the fear factor is almost gone. Whereas an Elgin fan, you're thinking, right, okay, you're almost thinking, I'll take a point in there. You're almost thinking, no, we can go there and win.
I think in football they talk about momentum, don't they?
Yeah.
And when you're doing well, that momentum's positive. And when you're not doing so well, it's hard to get out of that negative momentum. But it's positive at the moment. And there's a couple of other games, Michael, the Clyde game away, where we had that red card.
3 minutes in.
I don't think anybody in Scotland could believe that was a red card, and so we had to dig in and
that was an outstanding performance, but in an entirely different way to any other game, because they really showed resilience.
But that's a game we could have won.
It's a game
we still could have won that game. The 2 chances late on, we could have won that game.
But to come away with a point under these circumstances away from home was very good. Another one that springs to my mind is Bonnyrigg Rose at home.
Oh, what a day!
That was, honestly, I don't think I've heard a noise at Borough Briggs for a long time when, you know, we're getting beat, and in the last five minutes,
88 in the
88, yeah, we get an equaliser, and then we get that winner. I had gone round, I had friends up from Perth whose stepson was playing for Bonnyrigg that day. He was standing behind the goal. I thought, I'll go down and stand beside Billy for just the last 5 minutes, and as I approached him, we equalised. And Billy said, fair enough. I think a draw is probably fair. I said, I'm delighted with that. And it was a free kick, and Billy goes, this is going over the bar. Nothing to worry about here. It goes in the back of the net. So it was even sweeter. I was with a friend from Perth who was supporting the other team.
Right.
Watching that right from behind the goal, it was fantastic. And it's moments like that I think give you a bit of hope as well.
Because that kind of moments don't happen in Elgin. That happens against us. And years gone by, we won that thing, we're going to win this, and all of a sudden 1-1, 2-1. It was all of a sudden, no, this is happening to us now. We're now the ones doing that. You're thinking, this has changed. This really has changed. For moments like that, and that's a moment. If you're looking for a moment this season where the belief really kicked in, was that game. Because we went into a great that game. We plugged away, but it was one of those. It's not one of those days. It's not.
I think that a draw would have been about fair for that game.
Been.
And to get that late draw, we thought, well, that's fine. Yeah. But to get the win was incredible.
That's never say die attitude in the squad.
No, and the fact they can go for 90 minutes and more because of their fitness and their stamina and just their mentality as well.
Well, that's right. And I think the other thing is there's been some games where we've lost the first goal. I don't know anyone that's thinking, oh no, I think that's okay. It's early. We've got time. We'll turn it around. which is, again, confidence, positive thinking. You've got belief that the team will dig us out of this. We're 1-0 down, that's okay. We'll find a way. And usually we have, this season it's been brilliant.
Even the Quiet Cup game, that was one of the days I think anyone thought, just not happening here. The chances were coming, but it wasn't falling, it was bouncing. And all of a sudden, just one ball in, Jack Murray, 1-1. And then, the extra time of penalties was just ridiculous.
Yeah,
but that penalty kick thing, right, that was not a pleasant watch.
No.
I mean, I don't know any Elgin fan that enjoyed that. When the final goal went in and we won it, it was fantastic, but oh my God, it was so stressful. 16
minutes, just sheer hell. But even if you think back to the celebrations, it was more a relief than actual joy. I think it was a case of, we've done it, we've got through, because you imagine you go through that and still lose.
It must be devastating for Clyde, because they're 2 minutes away from getting a victory up here. We equalise and take them at penalties. And they missed a penalty.
They did a penalty saved in during next time as well.
So we've had so many moments already. We're not even halfway through the season.
No, exactly. There's a long way to go.
There's a lot to talk about that's really, really positive. It's hard to find too many negatives, because any negative you find, we've generally turned them into something, which has been brilliant.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Earlier, Michael, you were talking about some of the away games and how Elgin's picking up points away from home, which from your point of view would be a great thing, because you follow them home and away, and you have done for a while. What's your favourite away trip, and what's your favourite away ground? Do you have favourites?
I think my favourite away ground at the minute's probably Spartans.
Right.
Because I'm a football fan, I'm very fickle. I've had quite a few good results down there lately. With the Mitch Taylor winner last year, but Kenny still laughs about my celebration.
Michael hurdled about 5 rows of seats at that one.
Anyone knows I'm not the most athletic guy. But that 96th minute when I'm Mitch Taylor put it in, for some reason I decided to hurdle, as you do. And I did it pretty well, I'll be honest. But no.
That could have ended badly,
It could have ended terribly. Because when I'm the driver of the car, that could have really bad. But just won a 96th minute winner. Same again, it doesn't happen to us. But in that date did. But no, Spartans.
And by the way, that was our first away win of the season.
351 days, yeah. Just to kick
351
days.
Right.
Against one of the better teams in the league who do well at home.
Yeah.
So there was so much about that game last season, wasn't it? That kind of gave us a bit of positivity.
That was kind of the turning point. Oh, this really is kind of.
And is there a favourite trip that you enjoy the most? The journey?
I think it's going to sound strange, but it's probably Stranraer.
Right.
Because we make a weekend of it. That's where holiday.
Right.
Some people get to go to like really nice places. We go to Stranraer for a holiday.
Stranraer, okay. See, I'm from Dumfries originally, and no Dumfries self-respecting Dumfries person would willingly want to go and visit Stranraer.
No.
But it is quite a nice place, to be fair. All joking aside, but it's not the best. It wouldn't be number one on my list.
Oh no, I'll be honest.
Go-to places.
We just go in and go to the game and go out again. We don't stay there.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's one of those. You kind of make the weekend of it. 'Cause I won't drive down there, and it's too far to drive on one day. So you go down on the Friday, kind of stay around Glasgow area, Donda down Saturday, hopefully get a win. We're just quite relaxed. It's not the same stress.
Yeah.
And you just, because there's 4 of us in the car all the time, to kind of have a good laugh and kind of make the most of the weekend.
Yeah, good stuff. Magic. That brings us on to, I was going to ask a question, away from football, what do you do to relax? We all know you, Michael, you relax by going watching other games of football.
Yep.
But I did discover, Kenny, away from football, you're quite a musician, is that? Do you play musical instruments? You perhaps strum a guitar every now and then? And
you're stretching it a bit there, Chris. In my younger days, I was in a couple of bands.
Right.
We had a band that we played a set in Edinburgh in Oliver's in Rose Street every Thursday night, and that was good fun. But I was young and energetic in those days, Chris. So it's been a long time.
Right. You're still known to dabble, though, haven't you?
Still have a wee dabble. Yeah, we do some just for fun. Nothing serious. Just a bit of mucking about. It's good fun.
I mean, in all seriousness, you're the director, so there's a lot of pressure. What else do you do to relax when you're not at Borough Briggs?
This is going to sound wrong on a lot of levels, but I really like whiskey. Not just drinking it, but I do like drinking it, but I'm really into it in a big way. I love the story around whiskey, the fact that it's 3 ingredients and there's so many different flavours, and what you like will be different to what I like, and I've just got a fascination for that topic, and I think it's amazing that it comes from I know it comes from everywhere. Ireland do it in other countries, but it's kind of known for coming from Scotland. And in a previous job, it was a very much an international role I had, and whenever I was travelling with the business, inevitably people wanted to talk to me about 2 things: Scotland and whiskey.
Right.
No matter where you were in the world. So it's a fascinating topic.
Now it'll be 3 things: Scotland, whiskey, and Elgin City.
That it's funny. It's the amount of people that are pinging me about Elgin City is incredible. Because they know I love football, so they're not that surprised that I've got into it. I actually feel very lucky that I'm part of it, because it's a brilliant club, and I'm actually proud to be representing the club at any level. So I've got my football boots ready for Saturday, because there are a few injuries, so I can slot in there at the back, no problem.
Excellent, good stuff. Well, I said there Kenny's into his music, and he has brought along. You're quite good on the accordion, I'm led to believe. Is that right?
Well, you bullied me, so I'd like to, if HR are listening...
I forced Kenny to bring along his accordion
bullied
tonight.
Me. He said, you're not getting to come and talk to me unless you do a party piece and play a song. So, right, I can do that.
Right, well, I think what we'll do is we'll get you to play out the show, right? And that'll be a nice note for folk to finish on, right?
Okay. And then the show will never be watched ever again.
But it's not watched, it's been listened to.
Just as well. Nobody's going to tune in then.
We've kind of touched on the squad, and we'll talk about the women as well, because under your fellow director Chris Foote, who takes the lead on the women's game, and Mo Morrison, they're really generating a lot of interest around the club as well, aren't they, the women?
Yeah, like the men's team, they're on a bit of a roll, and they've been doing so well. Chris is a fantastic advocate for the women's team, and waxes lyrical about them. He does so much for them behind the scenes as well, and he helps with a lot of fundraising activities behind the scenes, and is a big support to Mo. It's difficult to have a women's team sustainable in any club, and on the park, Mo has done a brilliant job, and the women have done a great job in how they perform. Mel's a brilliant captain. She's a great leader for the team. Got a lot of time for her and all the girls. But yeah, it's a shout out to Chris Foote, because he's put his heart and soul into it, and he goes along on Sundays and has actually managed to drum up quite a bit of support, and even he's organised a kind of hospitality package for the women's team, and it's working out really well. We're getting good numbers, and that's down to him driving it, and it's great to see. And there's a lot of encouragement in Scotland to get the women's team up to a higher level, and to get more fans watching it. You just need to look down south to see how well it's been taken on. I think the success of how England ladies have done recent years have raised the profile. My daughter plays for Nairn, and she's a big Arsenal ladies fan, and I took her down to Arsenal Man City first game of the season. There was 45,000 people at the ladies match at the Emirates, and the atmosphere around the ground was like a carnival. There was music playing. It was really friendly, and it's like, this is like modern football. I was really pleasantly surprised, and the standard football was outstanding. So it was a brilliant experience. I think if Scotland can take a lead from what's happening down south, I think we could do really well. But we're getting more coverage than we've ever had any other previous year on radio and TV for the women's football, which is brilliant. And there's a lot of encouragement coming from the SFA and the SPFL to help that kind of level of football grow within the communities in Scotland. So we're lucky in Elgin that we've actually got a women's team that's actually there, it's formed, and it's doing really, really well.
And
Mikey, it just adds another element to the club, doesn't it, to have a successful women's team as well?
It's kind of bringing in different fans. I think a lot of the fans who go to the women's game also go to the men's game. But if you go to the women's game, there's a lot of people who don't go to the men's game. So you're bringing in more people to the club, and that's what we're all here for at the end of the day. It's bringing in more people, it's bringing in more interest, So that's all you can ask for. It's more good news for the club as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a good point, because the fans that go and watch the women's game on a Sunday, who maybe haven't been to see a men's game, might get the bug and go, right, okay, let's go on a Saturday as well. Our fan base, as Michael said earlier, is really strong, and most Saturdays we've got the highest crowd in our league. Not every Saturday, but most Saturdays we do. Some Saturdays we're about third highest in League One as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a really solid set of fans here, and we want to try and build on that as much as we can. And if you look just along the road at what Ross County have done in Dingwall, it's quite incredible, the amount of people that go along to see that that team play. I know they're at the top level, but and I'm not saying we're going to be in the Premier League, the SPL in 4 years' time, but we're definitely got a vision to move onwards and upwards, and we'd like to try and swell that fan base as much as we can. So that's how, getting back to Michael's role, it's so important to hear what they've got to say and try and make that experience of match day as good as possible for everyone.
Yeah. Talking about trying to make the experience as good as possible, we've just about at the end, and we're going to finish on a high note. So I'm going to say to Kenny, can you get your accordion out, please? And he's going to play us out with a little ditty. Michael, I mean, have you heard Kenny play his accordion?
No, I'm looking forward to this. It's the only reason I came was to hear Kenny and the accordion.
I mean, just for the fact, obviously this is an audio podcast tonight, so just to describe it, but it is an impressive piece of musical machinery.
You're saying I've got an impressive organ, Chris?
Kenny, I wasn't going to stoop to that level, but anyway.
I think you are, but it's fine. Say what you like.
It's very festive looking. So thank you very much for coming in tonight, Mikey Allan and Kenny Stewart. And you've been listening to Borough Briggs Beat, and you can listen a wee bit more. Here's Kenny Stewart, Director Extraordinaire, on the accordion.
Before I begin, I've not played for over a year.
Right.
So I expect at least 6 bum notes. Right?
Okay.
And this song is dedicated to Cecil Jack.
Right.
It's one of his favourite songs.
Okay.
All right, if he's
So
listening.
it might not be a case, Michael, sack the board. It might be sack the accordion player.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. No,
I can feel it coming already.
We know, get that written up. Get a banner.
Right, take it away, Kenny.
Just going to mute the rest of us.
Right, I think that was a fitting tribute to Cecil there.
He's no dead, by the way.
No. You'll
He's
love
very
that.
much alive.
Yeah, I know he is. I meant tribute as in a living tribute. Brilliant. Thanks, Kenny. That was a nice way to finish the show. So
Very touching.
yes. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Borough Briggs Beat.